Government of India Act of 1919. 1919. On August 20, 1917, the British government declared for the first time that its objective was gradual introduction of the responsible government in India. The Government of India Act 1919 was thus enacted, which came into force in 1921. This act is also known as the Montague-Champers reforms. Montague was the Secretary of the State for India. On August 20 and 1917, the British government rule. There are no act, but the responsible government in India come into effect in 1919 Act in the year 1919. The feature there was some features. Uh, there were some features of the acts. The first act, the first what is the first features? The feature first is it provided for the classification of all subject of administration into two categories, namely the central subject and the provincial subject. That time it the these things come into the central and provincial means the central means the British government only um, British the Britishers only the control the you can the central subject and provincial subject is the refers to the you can say the state who is the provincial means princely states like who was the that time was the king and who was the landlord of the part. So there are two things. There are two subjects. Uh, the central subjects and the provincial subjects. Okay. This classification was done by the devolution rules framed under the Act. These rules facilitated the delegation of the authority from center to provincials. In this way, the Act relaxed the central control over the provinces. Okay, so this time the rule was enacted that time. You can say central you control the provincial state. The but uh, and when the gradual effects come from the act Indian Act 99, then this come to you can say these things and relax the and power of the you can say central control you can say diluted and provincial power come into effect. So this is the thing that the central and provincial legislature were authorized to make law and their respective list of the subject. However, structure of the government and constitution to be centralized and unitary. However, the provincial power are given, but all the things was centralized. You, uh, and all the power was in control under Britishers, not was in control the princely states. So this is the things. And the second, what is the second features? Further divided the provincial subjects into two parts: the transferred and reserved. Transferred subjects include the public health, the concept subjects which the subjects was transferred like the health, education, and local self governments. All these things reserved subjects uh, in land and revenue. These things come into the reserved category. And the governor, the transfer subject were to be governor reserved subject. On the other hand, were administered by the governments and his executive council without being responsible to the legislative council. And this dual scheme of governments were known as the uh, diarchy, atoms divided from the Greek word and diarch, which means the double rules. However, this experiment was largely unsuccessful. This was not successful, and you are this is unsuccessful. So And what is the third feature of this regulating Act 99? It introduced for the first time and became bicameralism and a direct election in the country. Thus, the Indian Legislative Council was replaced by the bicameral legislative, considering the upper house, Council of State, and the lower house, Legislative Assembly. The majority of the members, both houses, were chosen by the direct elections. Okay, this is the thing. It required that the three of the six members of viceroy councils, other than the commander in chief, were to be Indian. Okay, and it extended the principle of communal representation by providing the separate electorals: Sikh Indians and Christian and Anglo Indians and Europeans Indians. Okay, this is the things, and it is granted the franchises to the limited number of peoples on the basis of property tax and other qualifications. Some functions and performed by the Secretary of the State of India. So this is another. It created in the the Government of India Act of 1919 create a new office of High Commissioner for India in London, and transfer to him some of functions uh, hitherto. So some powers are given in India, and some power of the some powers are in the High Commissioner. So this is are regulated. This were regulated by the High Commissioner, the High Commissioner for India in London, and there are some office. And there were some office in India at that time. Okay, and what is the eight features of the eight features of the Government of India Act uh, of 1919? The eight features it provided for the establishment of the Public Service Commission. Okay, the first time Public Service Commission came into effect, and due to the Act in the Government of India Act 1919. Okay, and hence the Central Public Commission was set up in 1926 for recruiting the civil servant. Okay, so for recruiting the civil servant, this act, this law was enacted in 1926. It separated the for first time the provincial budget and the central budget, and authorized the provincial legislature to enact their budget. Okay, the provincial budget, he authorized the legislature, provincial legislature, he authorized the provincial legislature to make provincial law for the province budgetary system. Okay, it provided for the appointment of the statutory commission, inquire into and report on its working after 10 years its commissioning into the force. Okay, and the chair of the inaugurated in 1921, it consisted of 120 members, instead of 180 of the other state. It was headed by the governor general, and facilitated whose facility and it facilitated the consultation discussion on the matter of common interest. So on the common interest, on common interest is established number of principles. So what is the Common Commission? In November 1927, Public Service Commission 1926, and in November 1927, 22 years before the schedule, the British government announced